Yo, how's it going, guys? KPR here bringing us another video, and today I'm going to help you guys rank up for this new season. I know it's been out for a while, and I'm sure some of you have gotten down to what is needed to be ranking up, and let's go with the most important part first, and that is knowing which characters are meta. The reason why you gotta know which characters are meta is because you're gonna need to know the counters for them as well. Now, the good thing about it though is that basically any character can be meta, but there are a few outliers, like the number one for sure that you either should be banning or playing is Hawkeye. He has the best team up and has the best ult by far at the moment, because you can kill any support with your ult. It doesn't matter if both of them are ulting. I've done it before. You can murk them so easily. Hawkeye is the most broken right now, and I don't see many people playing him or banning him, so it shouldn't be too hard to be getting a bunch of dubs with Hawkeye. One for sure that you guys have to be banning, I would suggest banning Hela. The reason is because of that Namor team up. That Namor team up can be insanely annoying, especially because their ult spawns in those squids, and it can just be overwhelming for most. And she's a pretty good character either ways, and with the Thor team up, or her enhancing them, it can be even more insane. It could just be such a chaotic match that you may not be able to be winning those unless you mirror them. Or if you play Hawkeye, honestly, because I melt a bunch of Thors with Hawkeye. It's insanely easy to play him. I promise you, you guys need to pick him up. He essentially counters everyone at this point. So like I mentioned already, learn which characters are meta. For tanks, I would say Hulk, Thing, what another one? Thor. Those three are definitely meta. Devil Dino can be annoying, but he's definitely not what he was on day one. So I wouldn't really suggest knowing a specific counter, and either ways, if you go Punisher or Hawkeye, those are essentially his biggest counters. Even Black Widow with Hawkeye, especially if you have the enhanced version of their team up, is going to be melting Dino. So honestly, Devil Dino, not someone who you should be banning in your lobbies at all. Like even in gold, I'm surprised he's banned because he shouldn't really be a problem. Now for DPS, the meta characters are definitely Punisher, Hela, Namor. Sometimes I've seen what's his name, Daredevil, Black Panther, but not as much Black Panther anymore because it doesn't have that bug he used to have, but that got patched out insanely fast. Good thing, because you were one-shotting a bunch of people when you were low on health and your shield. I honestly thought Blade was going to be one of the meta picks, but he is not really at the greatest point right now, so I wouldn't really suggest focusing on him. But there will be other meta characters that counter him fairly easily. Magic is being seen a lot, but with Thing on your team, you'll be able to counter it. Damn, I'm trying to remember what other mofos are meta. Oh, Star-Lord, I guess, and Iron Fist I've seen a few times, but honestly, whenever I see an Iron Fist, I never see them doing much for the team. I mainly seen the Star-Lord put a bit of work, but that's mainly when they ult. I know they have a lot of DPS, but those are basically the main ones you're gonna need to focus on how to counter them, but a bunch of them are honestly countered by Hawkeye, so yeah, if you guys want, just learn how to play Hawkeye. I did a bit of a, not necessarily a guide, but I gave a few tips on how to play him because it's fairly easy to play him. All right, moving on to support. The main ones I've seen are Cloak and Dagger, Invisiwoman, Rocket every now and then, Gambit, a decent amount of times, especially because, or whenever he's not banned at least, because people think he's still as broken as he was, but honestly, he's not really broken at all. There's like no reason to ban him. That's just a waste. It'd be a better ban if you banned Invisiwoman or Cloak and Dagger. Luna Snow is pretty good as well, but a bunch of people may not know how to aim, so they're not really playing her and they're missing out on huge potential from her. So those are the main support you're going to see. You're also going to see Jubilee, but honestly, her healing output is sometimes not the best. It really depends on how people play her, because she's somewhat like Gambit was in the beginning, where a bunch of people are trying to DPS a lot with her. They're not really trying to actually kill the teammates, use her abilities in order to be healing, doing many more things for them, be getting ult constantly. So that's just a bit of a problem with the players. Jubilee's a pretty good support. I wouldn't say she's like top 3 or anything, but she's definitely in the top 5. That's for sure. It could honestly alternate between Gambit and her, but honestly, I would rather much play with a Gambit instead, because a bunch of people are just trying to DPS with Jubilee, so they're not really playing her like she should be played, in my opinion. So yeah, those are the characters you guys should be focusing on. You guys can choose who to ban from those players, and the second thing you guys honestly got to do is find which character you actually have fun with and what role you have fun with. You see, that is important, because why are you going to be putting in a bunch of time and effort in a character you don't like playing, and it's just going to be insanely frustrating and feel like as if you're doing a job whenever you play them, because you're like, oh, I guess we're losing, I need to go to my other character. And so it's just going to be frustrating for you to play the game and be ranking up, because you're not playing a character you like, you're not playing one that you can actually enjoy your time with. So it's just going to slowly kill your mood to be playing this game. And honestly, if I've seen so many people that don't really like playing a certain character, but they play them just because, you know, they're meta, But then as soon as they get counter or someone that's a bit better at them with that character, they start throwing. So yeah, just use someone you actually like playing, and a role from a role that you actually like playing as well. Because in Overwatch, at least, a bunch of people hated playing tank. I did not mind playing tank. Tank was probably my favorite role, especially because Doomfist was in it. So I was able to have a pretty good time whenever I played tank, even though everyone said that is the worst role to play. And yeah, sure, it could be the worst one because it doesn't really feel like you're doing too much at certain times. So even now, tank in this game also somewhat feels the same. Not as bad because it's open queue. Granted, a few people have been wanting to do role queue because there could be quite a few throwers whenever you're playing this comp. But it's going to be the same with every game, honestly. Even in a role queue, you're going to find throwers either way. So I don't really mind them not doing that because personally, I flex. I know how to play multiple characters. I do enjoy certain ones. Whenever a new one comes out, I try to play them, see what works best with them, just so I also know how to counter them, see if my teammate or the enemy team is using them at their best. And if I know they're not using them at their best, I know I'll be able to counter them fairly easy. So yeah, just learn which character you actually like to play and which role you like to play. There won't be many tank players, I know that for sure, because it's not a popular role at all in almost any game, I think. The third thing I'll give you guys is that learn how to aim. It doesn't have to be the best, especially depending on the character you play, but at least know how to aim a bit in order to be able to take those skill sets to one, other games, and two, to other characters that you may be interested in playing. You'll be able to practice them a bit more. Of course, you can use quick play for it. I honestly just hop into a comp game, which could somewhat seem like I'm throwing, but due to me like actually knowing how to play certain characters or just aiming in general, it can help you out a lot. Even if you're new to that character, you'll be able to at least know what you're somewhat doing. You may not know fully what their abilities can do, but at least you'll know that you might be doing the right things with them. Now, another thing that you should probably learn as well is whenever you pick that character, read through their abilities, know when you can use them and how you're supposed to use them as well. The reason is because I've seen so many people play BP. Like BP and Spider-Man are probably the most susceptible to this, because people will be just using their abilities and all their abilities are going to be on cooldown now. They won't be able to escape or use any sort of DPS because Black Panther's DPS comes from using his abilities. And if you don't know how to use them correctly or who to target specifically, then you're not going to be able to use them at his best potential. And that's where people mess up. It's because they don't read through their abilities and they don't actually try to learn how to use them. For Spider-Man, you honestly just got to be really technical with it, because you got to know where you can swing by, how this swing works and stuff like that, and also how his melee moveset works as well, because you got to double jump in order to do that underhand, I believe. I don't really play Spider-Man. I only play him like when I'm messing around and stuff, and if I see that the enemy team is doing bad, I just go to him because I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to learn him. But then I'm like, he's too technical at things and it really does not feel like you're doing too much. I rarely see any MVP Spideys, especially because there's so many counters to him right now. Now, the last one is going to be positioning. That is very important, because if you're out of position in most situations, you're going to either be murked while you're in that position, or it's going to make it so you don't bring any value to your team. I mean, well, regardless, it doesn't bring any value to your team. So essentially, you won't be getting any kills and you'll just be getting murked, feeding the enemy team ults. This one could be really tricky because it really depends which characters you're playing. Especially if you're going to be playing a dive character, you really got to know your positioning, because you got to be flanking the enemy team and knowing when you're able to actually push in, because your teammates may be insanely far away from point and you're the only one there. Like, you got 2 picks, but those picks did not matter at all because your teammates aren't following through, and that could either be on them or you for pushing in too early, or for your teammates for just staying in the back and not really helping you out at all. So just learn your positioning, just know when and when not to be pushing in, because I still fall back on this. Like, my positioning, essentially, I can overextend a lot. With Hawkeye, I somewhat know my positioning. I try to stay in between a bunch of my teammates, and sometimes I may go a bit more frontline if I am confident that I'm hitting my shots a lot. If I'm not confident that I'm hitting a few of my shots, I try to still stay in between. Sometimes I try to stay in the back, depending if they also have dive, in order for me to be helping out my support from not getting murked from the dive. So yeah, just try to be careful where you're positioning yourself at. For BP, you're essentially going to be mainly in the back lines along with Spider-Man as well. Magic can be doing the same thing, but honestly, you could be the one initiating that push for your team, especially with Magic, because you're way tankier than the other dive characters, specifically talking about DPS, because Venom's the tankiest dive character, and you'll be able to disrupt the enemy team a lot, and that's when your teammate should be helping you out and supporting your push. Now, the tricky thing too about positioning is that you're going to somewhat need to learn the maps as well, because not every position you're going to be taking is going to be a great one. High ground is fairly good, but I would say that in Overwatch that was way more important than it is here in Marvel Rivals. So you don't have to learn every nook and cranny of the map. You can if you want. I still don't know every little thing about every map, even though I've been playing this game for a long time and I have over 1,000 hours in them. I just try to go with whatever I think is the best position, and usually it'll be right, but there will be times where I'm wrong, where I think my teammates are backing me up. I'm overextending, by the way, in this. And I think they're backing me up, but then I turn around and then I just see they're all in the back line and I get murked instantly, and that would be on me regardless of my teammates being able to push in or not. It's still me being out of position, and I can't necessarily blame my team for that. I can't put that in the chat. Maybe I'll say that in the party chat, but I cannot put it in the chat because that'd be on me. So yeah, my dudes, hopefully these tips help you out in order to rank up in general, because these tips can be taken from any season. Maybe not the characters that may be meta, but like I said, you're supposed to look at whatever characters are meta, learn their counters, see if you actually like playing the people that you, or that they get countered by. My fault. You may not always like to play them, but even if you play them for just a few like lives and you murk them like 2 or 3 times, they'll usually switch off unless they're stubborn. But I usually go thing whenever I see a BP, if I'm playing tank at least, in order to be countering them much more often, just so they switch off and I'm able to be a bit more aggressive in my playstyle, because that's what I mainly do well in. And I can't be aggressive if I need to be peeling back a lot for my support, which you're going to have to do a lot if they have a lot of dive characters. But anyways, my dudes, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I'll give you guys a few tips on how to rank up. And right now I've been hitting GM3. Sometimes I drop out, sometimes I don't. But when I'm playing Hawkeye, at least I won't be losing a lot of SR, and I'll be gaining quite a bit of SR regardless of me being 3 ranks above my other teammates, which is pretty great, because I hated when I would only win 17, but even though I was MVP in some of those, I could be winning 17 to 20. But then whenever we lose, regardless of me also being MVP or SVP, well, SVP because I lost, I'll be losing anywhere from 22 to 28, which is pretty insane. I get so mad whenever that happens to me. Like, it's not the best. So yeah, luckily I've been mainly just ranking up. I'll probably be hopping back into it again and try to hit not Eternal, because I really don't like that whenever I get to Celestial I can only duo. I like playing with my friends and my siblings, so I can't necessarily always go above Celestial, or GM for that matter. But anyways, my dudes, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you guys are enjoying the content, please subscribe. With that being said, have a good day and stay safe. Later.